What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Life of a Sim Racer. My name is Brandon. I'm going to be your host tonight. We have our normal guy, driver of the number 66 Chevrolet, Life of a Sim Racer, Mr. Brandon 6. And we have now full-timer, Mr. Nick Silver, driver of the number 4 Ford Race Labs Mustang. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing pretty good.
Doing great.
Alright, so this past Monday we raced at Gateway, which produced some pretty good racing actually. But Six, I guess I will start with you since you finished the highest out of us three. So tell us how your week went, how your preparation and anything like that. How'd it go?
Preparation wise, same as always. We work as a team. Usually have 1 or 2 practices out throughout the week, leading up to the race. I can't remember if I ran any NIS races or not for this. Oh no, I did. I ran a NIS race on Wednesday, which is kind of like a good baseline for me. Usually, I get to compare it to hopefully like Casey or Garrett if they're in those races. Usually it's a good way to see if I need to find something or if I'm in a good spot. But going into the race, I felt pretty good. I just need to work on my short run speed a little bit. And I found it in our practice session that we had for our hour session. And unfortunately, I never got my lap in for qualifying, so I ended up starting like P29, which made it a long race for me, but at the same time kind of fun, being able to drive up to the field and passing everybody. It shows that I have the capability of doing that, but I think unfortunately by me not starting up front screwed me, because I think I had pace to compete with Kevin, if not faster than Kevin, because I know when I was coming up through the field, I was comparing his times to what I was running, and I was either running just as fast as him, if not just a little bit quicker than him at times. So other than that, I mean, it was just slowly picking off one at a time. We had some good timed cautions for me, luckily. Because if this race went green, I don't think I would have ever got up to where I was. I drove all the way up to second place towards the end of the race, and unfortunately, we had the late race caution that myself, Kevin, I think Cody, a whole bunch of us was pretty pissed off about. But of course, Kevin and I came down along with a bunch of other people for that late race start, and unfortunately we had I think 8 cars stay out, and I know for Kevin and myself it was just too many cars to try and pass in 2 laps. We basically needed another green white checker to even get back up front, and I think I ended up finishing P5, so it was a good solid night. I'll continue to take my either top 5s or top 10s. That's kind of my goal, but obviously I'm still looking for those consistent wins as well. So
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, top 5 is great. I do think that you did have the speed to definitely contend with Cody and Kevin up there. Would have loved to kind of see what the ending would have been like if you did actually put a qualifying lap up there and really, go toe to toe with those guys. Would have been really interesting, because I know, you coming through the field, you definitely had the pace and the speed. But it's one of those things, and you made the best of it and still finished 5th. So kudos to you on that one. So Mr. Nick Silver, you are next on our list. I believe you finished P7 again, the 3rd race in a row, I believe. So tell us about your week, sir. How'd it go?
Well, we got the initial plan was to practice a lot for Gateway since we haven't, you know, definitely haven't raced these cars here, but haven't raced Cup cars here. So I ran an A fixed race middle of the week. That went pretty all right, and then felt like I had some speed. Then ran the NIS race with you guys on Thursday and got destroyed on like the second or third restart. So that was that for NIS for the week. Didn't feel like doing that anymore. Uh, Race went pretty good overall. I had a good qualifying run, which is hard to come by for me. Really had some long run speed, was making my way up towards the front, and was pretty excited to have a full green flag run with some pit stops, but of course, can't have that in this league, and we had a caution come out right before, or right after people started doing green flag pit stops. So then we had another restart, and I think it was then we had or right after that, we had another long green flag run. It was fast again. We're getting close to green flag pit stops. Really excited for what was going to happen. I think I was up in like the top 7 or so, and of course, caution comes out. So then it was pretty much crapshoot from there. But still managed to get myself into 4th position, I believe. And of course, we all know the caution came out coming to the white flag. And obviously, hindsight, I should have stayed out. Sam was behind me, so I was actually one spot ahead of Sam before that yellow came out. So if I had stayed out, who knows what could have happened. But hindsight's 2020. In the moment, I was kind of just like, I feel like I need to do what Kevin or Cody or Six are going to do. And I really didn't think that many people would stay out. A lot more stayed out than I thought. And besides that, I thought for sure we weren't going to just have the one green-white checker, to the end. So even though a lot of guys stayed out, I still thought we were going to be in a good spot because I thought we'd get a wreck right after the restart. But shockingly, we didn't. And I came home 7th. And I don't think I've ever been more pissed off at a 7th place finish than I was, last night. I don't have too many top 5s this year. Just I don't know what the deal is, but was really looking forward to that top 5 and couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think both of you guys have both mentioned the caution at the end that kind of set up the green white checkered, which we'll definitely get into that. That was I think that kind of messed up a lot of people's good run, but it does happen, but unfortunately it seems to happen a little too often. Especially in this series. Like I expected a little bit more out of these guys, but I understand mistakes happen, but I don't know. Overall, it just sucks. So I guess I'll get into my week. My week was coming into the race. I knew I've practiced, or actually I did a race. I think last year here, or it might have been earlier this season, or earlier this year, I should say. And it was just a regular pickup race with these cars, here at Gateway, and it went okay. I believe the difference was I think that was a night race, so a lot more grip. I think a different setup. So I had some confidence actually going into it. I felt that I could actually, probably finish top 5. And with the new paint scheme, for the month of June, for Pride Month, I had some, felt some good mojo. And, like Nick said, did the NIS race on Thursday. I thought I avoided the majority of the wrecks, but unfortunately I got wrecked. And, that kind of, unfortunately, well, actually, no, I didn't get wrecked not once, but I got wrecked twice. I got wrecked on the white flag as well, so didn't even really get to finish with a car that I felt was a good top 10 car. But anyway, I tried to take that information and learn from that, and then go into preparation of getting ready for our RSR race. But the one thing that when I would compare myself to Six or compare myself to any of our other teammates, I realized that my long run speed, I guess, was lacking pretty bad. So I had to figure out, I had to change my settings around, kind of change what I was feeling, shift points and all that stuff. So unfortunately, it wasn't until I got in the race, I believe I qualified 10th, I believe. And I felt like I just needed to just, keep my nose clean and make sure I'm there at the end. We got some pretty good long runs, actually, and it allowed me to kind of learn what was going on. Before we got to the first caution, I realized that I completely burnt up my stuff, and I couldn't figure out why. Later on, I figured out that I was shifting too much. So the first one, burned up my tires. Second run, I was actually able to. I didn't have to use third anymore, third gear anymore. The first one I was using third, so I stopped using third and was just using fourth. And what that basically allowed the car would basically to rotate, so it was freer on the longer run, but that allowed me to be able to move around the track a little bit more and make passes. So it was beneficial. Especially on the long run. I think I at one point was all the way up to fourth. If I remember correctly, I think I was up to fourth, and I was on the high side battling with Andrew, and driver of the 88 car, and I just could not pass him. And 6 made a 3 wide pass, passed us both, because I just held him up too much. So unfortunately, I fell all the way back, but I think the 10th, I made it back up 7th, and then as Nick and Six both said, by that point the caution came out that kind of changed the whole face of the race. So went ahead and pitted, took tires. In hindsight, I should have stayed out. I was the highest. I would have been the highest driver who stayed out. I probably would have won the race. Actually, I'm pretty confident I would have won the damn race, but that is what it is. But unfortunately, I pitted, came back out, green, white, checkered. Was losing a lot of spots. Decided to make a move and try to make up some of the spots entering one. And I tried to move up and get behind Andrew, and he checked up and he hit the brakes before I even hit the brakes, and I ran to him, I turned him, and he did his best to save it, and he collected some other guys along with me collecting him. Even though he did finish behind me, that was all on me. So one of the things I gotta do is I've gotta clean up the dumb mistakes and try to just finish a race without getting involved into something. I think I don't know, for some reason I've struggled with that lately, so I need to clean that up. Again, I don't know what's different. Ever since, I think I've talked to you Six about it, ever since Auto Club, I've just struggled with that confidence level. I feel like it's starting to come back, but it's almost like the car, I can't tell how close I am to people, and when I think that I am, I got room, I really don't. So that's something that I gotta work on and I gotta do better. I expect better of myself, and the team expects better of me as well, to me not causing cautions on the white flag and taking out 5 and 6 drivers. That's just stupid. So so it's one of those things where I'll learn, and hopefully I'll be better by the end of the regular season, and hopefully we see what we can do if I make the playoffs, see what we can do there. So I ended up finishing 13th. Again, it was a decent run. At the end, I really wish it would have stayed green. I think a lot of us wish that way. I know Kevin King for sure definitely wishes it would have stayed green. He basically had that win in the bag pretty much, but and nothing we can really do about that.
I mean, you were saying basically we had some long green flag runs and stuff, and I just want to mention, yes, overall, I think the race was actually very good. Mm-hmm. It's just unfortunately that late race caution kind of put a sour taste in everybody. So it's I did enjoy the racing for the most part. I mean, I like I said, I was expecting this race to be kind of a wreck fest, especially the way the setup honestly was. It was, and I think we're going to talk about it later, but how free it was. And you see that on the replays of some people how free it was, and off of 2 and off of 4. So I was expecting a lot of cautions, but everyone kept it very clean, hard racing. It's just, like I said, unfortunately, that late race caution didn't help the situation.
Overall, it was a good race, like you said, but man, I just keep getting frustrated with these cautions in the green flag pit stops. You know, the cautions this race, pretty much right before the green flag pit stops start, and then last week or the week, you know, whatever it was, the week before. I don't know if we even had an off week. Can't tell anymore with the schedule, but at Charlotte, you know, I think both green flag pit stops, both rounds of green flag pit stops had a freaking caution in the middle of them. I know I got caught a lap down in the first one, and I can't remember what happened in the second one, but it's so frustrating when, you know, so people keep causing cautions right when all this stuff's going on, because it kind of kills the strategy. Plus, really makes you think twice about when you want to pit in these races now.
But I thought overall the broadcast was actually pretty good. I thought you know, they touched on a couple things during the race that honestly I feel like some things that just aren't talked about in other broadcasts. I felt like, you know, they didn't focus too much on the leader, which I think I'm not going to say any real life broadcasting companies like Fox and NBC. You know, this actually seemed pretty good that I didn't have to sit here and focus on the leader for a good 50 laps. You know, they actually went through and looked at some of the other drivers. They definitely talked about Eberhardt and his struggles during the race, which I thought was interesting, because they normally don't really focus too much on the struggles of a driver. But later on, you know, in this, we'll go ahead and touch on Eberhardt's run, and unfortunately, he is, you know, he has his win, but he hasn't really shown anything since then. His finishes are pretty lackluster, so, you know, we'll get into that later on and talk about maybe, you know, is it panic time, or, you know, maybe it's time, you know, for him to really get his stuff together, because, you know, you got to win, but you got to be in the top 25 in the playoffs. So, you know, we'll go ahead and talk about that, like I said, later on. So, it's topic time, fellas. It is topic time. So, one of the things that us three talked about was the caution at the end, which was a setup for the green-white checker, which changed everything. Changed everything completely. So, the topic of the night is, should there be a harsher penalty for cautions under 5 laps to go, or within 5 laps of a restart? Nick Silver, I'm going to start with you, sir.
I definitely think there should be. I believe it was Sim 500, you know, a couple of years ago that implemented that. There wasn't a penalty, I don't believe, for you know, causing a caution within the last few laps, but there was definitely some sort of extra penalty for causing caution within the first 5 laps or so after a restart, and also after the start of the race. And it did certainly, if I remember correctly, it did certainly cut down on the number of cautions right after the restarts. I don't think we really, you know, just off the top of my head, I don't think we really have an issue with a lot of cautions right after the restarts, but you know, it wouldn't hurt to have that implemented in this league. And then I definitely think there should probably be some sort of stiffer penalty causing caution within the last few laps of the race, because, you know, that's a pretty race-altering event, as we see. You know, I mean, freaking Kevin King leads every damn lap, and then, you know, not to talk shit on the guys who caused the caution, but you got 2 guys, you know, back there who aren't really racing for the win, ruining the race for a lot of other people. It's pretty frustrating.
Yeah, I I kind of have to agree. I mean, I'm in the boat where I feel like maybe causing cautions just in general need to be stricter. Um, I think I don't know. I'm in the majority of like, especially for end of race, especially like Nick said. I mean, when you have one, especially under 5 to go, it becomes a point where it's like, especially for Gateway, for instance, it was pretty much strung out at that point because we had, I think it was like 30 laps to the end of that race. Was our last restart, and then of course we had the caution literally with like a lap and a half to go, and it's like, why? It's like, I know in my mindset, like, sure, I'm not gonna lie, like I kind of wanted a caution with like 10 to go to maybe like reset and have a chance with Kevin, but it's kind of one of those things where once you get under a certain time period, it's like, all right, I just want this race to end. And that's kind of my mindset when it was like 5 to go. I'm like, all right, I'm sitting second. I just want this thing to end. Get it over with. But especially when you have someone who causes a caution towards like the back half of the field, it's like, I mean, every position matters, but I don't know. So like, I guess it depends on how the wreck happens. Like, I think the one in this race was pretty dumb. If I remember correctly, I think we'll review it, I think, but it was pretty dumb, and I'm like, why? Like why let that happen? So it's like, I don't know. But as far as the even off restarts, I think for the restart one would be pretty good too. Like, I don't think we've had a ton off restarts lately, but it wouldn't hurt to have it, just because I feel like as a league for us, once we get going after about 5, maybe 10 laps, they tend to go pretty green. Like, once we get settled in and we're just racing each other individually instead of all grouped up in a pack, and we're just pushing as hard as possible. So, because for the most part, we can all race pretty clean. It's just in these like certain scenarios where everyone loses their minds.
Yeah, it seems like we have good runs, and then it all goes to hell once a caution comes out, maybe towards the end or something.
Yep.
So I'm gonna dig a little bit deeper into that. So why do you think that is? So why? I mean, I understand we're trying to get every spot we can, and it happens in real life too. So it's not like it's only in our league or anything like that. You know, why is the aggression? I wouldn't say why is the aggression, so high at that point. 'Cause like I said, that we know why. But if there is a penalty, for that, do you really think that makes a difference? I mean, if you are sitting second, okay, and you know for a fact the only way you're gonna win. Now, I'm not saying you guys would do this. I'm just, hypothetical. Okay, so you're sitting second, and you know that the only chance you have a win is to knock this guy out the way. I'm not saying wreck him or anything like that, but your intent is to move him out the way. Okay, you go ahead and you do that. In the back of your mind as well, the possibility of, if you do this and he and he ends up wrecking, then if he ends up wrecking, then you're gonna get hit with the penalty. Are you still gonna make? Are you still gonna make that same move, or does it pull you back and make you second guess whether that's really, if it's really that necessary to do it?
I mean, I think you should be penalized in that scenario, and we've seen it if it's blatant enough, like in this league, where you'll get straight up penalized or end of the longest line or whatever it is. Basically, you just didn't even race that race, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think that should be a mindset to not let that be a thing. I mean, I know for me as a driver, I would never do that. I mean, it's a little different if you give someone a slight bump Now, if it happens to wreck them, it's kind of like I find it to be an unfortunate thing. And yes, you get penalized, and as you should be, because you did essentially wreck them. So for me, I would accept that penalty, even though it might take away a race win or whatever it may be. But if it's like, especially on certain tracks where it's one groove sometimes, and you almost have to kind of drive through them a little bit. I mean, you got, like I said, you got to take that risk. I mean, most of us as drivers are talented enough. Even if you get a slight hit in these cars, usually most of us can save it. Not saying everybody can, but most of us can. So
Yeah, you just have to be careful for the weird netcode situations, of course.
yeah, and unfortunately, in my mind, that's out of your control. I mean,
Right.
If you drive in there, give them a bump, and unfortunately, netcode just launches them to freaking orbit. I mean, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, I'd like to think there's an exception, like if it's that blatant obvious that it was netcode that caused it, I'd like to think that you get a little bit of a break on it, but I don't know. As we've seen with some of the wrecks this year being called, like some get called netcode, and some I feel like that should be called netcode, just don't get called netcode, and they're actually on the driver. So I don't know.
Plus, it's hard to tell in the situation. I think that's kind of what sucks about the whole claiming thing is you don't know sometimes if you need to claim it or not, and you know, maybe you claim it and then you look later and it's like, shit, it was netcode, but you can't go back, unfortunately,
Right.
and take it back once the race is over. So I don't know, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, I know for us, like we want to start getting someone to watch, be kind of like our eye in the sky, just to maybe try and call that stuff out. But obviously, not everybody has that option. Because it is hard to tell at times in the car. It's like, did I cause that, or was that netcode, or like what exactly happened? So yeah, I kind of agree with the claiming. It's kind of rough at times to know if it's actually your fault or not.
Yeah, I wish we didn't. Like Brandon said, I wish we had an eye in the sky so we could just do away with it and just have somebody make the call.
Like I'll give you an example. Like the incident with Debarra and me. Like to me, in my view, like that wasn't my fault from the cockpit. That's why I never claimed anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like I said, in hindsight, I guess it apparently was my fault. But like I said, from my view, it kind of looked like netcode. But there's no way I can tell that unless I pull off the track, get out of the car, and then go look at the replay, and then come back on the track.
So, okay. So then how? And sorry, I know I'm poking because I'm trying to really understand it so that way we can kind of explain what exactly we would be asking for. And that's basically when you're in the situation where it's that close, or it's it's really hard to tell. That basically we had somebody from the league say, I guess we could be like, hey, I don't know if that was my fault. Can you check and see? Or let me know if that was my fault. And they would be like, no, it wasn't. Or yes, it was.
The way I was thinking was really just somebody eye in the sky, that makes the call just out of the gate. Driver doesn't have to do anything. It's like, all right, you wrecked him. You're the one who gets the penalty. But, and not to say that we need to create more work for Evan because I know he's a busy guy outside of the league, and not to also keep going back to Sim 500, but when we were running one of the series at Sim 500, we would just note down the lap, of an incident, of a caution, and we just go back after the race and review it and make the determination then, and then assign, we dock some points from the driver depending on if it was their first or second incident. I kind of think that's the way to go, but like I said, Evan's very busy outside of that. I'm not going to ask him, suggest that he does that, but if he did have somebody with some spare time,
Yeah. Interesting. I kind of like both of those. I do like the idea of basically an admin or whoever who's ever watching the race can answer that really quickly, then go back and look and let me double check. And okay, it looks like it was possibly your fault. Boom. All right, I'll claim it. If it looks like well, no, that looks like netcode. And I agree that a lot of us don't have what we would call in our team the eyes in the sky. We don't have that. Well, let me clarify. We had it for Darlington or for Gateway. We just happened to have a teammate who was available to to be able to look out for things and strategy and stuff like that. So of course, thank you to him for coming on board and helping us out with Gateway. But every team doesn't have that. So yeah, I hear you guys' point. And I guess to make it fair, if there was somebody in the booth or somebody in admin or somebody who could kind of give you a rough idea, yeah, I kind of get that. But I do like Nick's idea as well. So I don't know, maybe we need to figure out how to blend the two together. Because I literally love this series. I mean, I ran this series for years, and you did as well, Nick. We kind of took a break and went to go run some other series. We both ran Sim 500 for a little bit. You literally ran it as admins, you and Sean Casto. And then, you guys kind of got bored with that and decided to come back to RSR. And I think that kind of shows right there that RSR is definitely a good league. I mean, the broadcasting of it is top notch. I don't really think there's any other broadcasters really touching it. But that's my personal opinion. But I think the racing can always be better. I mean, I'm not saying that drivers need to. I don't know. And even though I talk about the harsher penalties, I don't even know if really the harsher penalties will really even do anything, honestly, because everybody's talent level is different. But I don't know.
Well, we go back to end of race scenarios where it's like, yes, everyone should be pushing, everyone's trying to get what they can, but at the same time, it's like, at that point, you should pretty well know what your limits are in the car. So, like, I mean, you trying to drive in that extra car length or 2 car lengths deeper, and you might have probably tried that already once in the race, and it probably didn't work. What makes you think it's going to work the second time? Like, yeah. It's stuff like that. Like I don't mind. Like, I know Nick was saying about the cautions around green, white, or green flag pit stops, which it does suck, obviously, but it happens. It's just like I said, my one big gripe from this Gateway race was really the super late race caution. In my mind, that should never be a thing. Yeah. Or unless it's like obviously something that's happening in the top 5 and drivers are battling real hard and like you get super loose off of somebody or whatever, like something actually an accident, not just someone. I don't even know. I think it was somewhere towards like 15 probably, but I could be wrong.
The wreck at the end.
Yeah.
I think that was for 9th and 10th. It was right behind me.
9th and 10th.
But again, we'll get into that too. Cause like I said, cause that's, I mean, okay, look, I just get now. Again, I will say that I did cause, an incident and pushed the guy off, and he basically, was bouncing off of other people because of my fault. So I get that. And
I almost died in that too, by the way. I saw a whole mirror full of Andrew frickin' going through the grass coming at me sideways.
Yeah, sorry.
I got to see his double numbers in all their glory.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I get if I don't have the right to say this, but I honestly feel that the league is good. The league is great, but week in and week out, we have drivers who get upset when they're not running good. And when they do that and something happens to them, they're ready to take out the whole rest of the field. Why? Because it's like, well, fuck it, I'm out of it, you know? So why not take other people with me? I mean, we see it every week in the pickup races. Exactly one of the reasons why I'm not doing any more pickup races anymore, because I've gotten caught up in it too many times, and at this point I'm kind of done with it. But I'm starting to see it more in this league, and I think it is something that needs to be brought to light. And I'm not gonna put nobody's name out there. I'm not gonna do that at all. But I am gonna say that don't act like it's not noticed, because there's other people who definitely see what's going on. It's just a matter of, is there going to be a penalty, or is anybody else going to do anything else about it? I'm tired of seeing it.
Well, there's going to be a point if it continues to happen, especially from the same people. I mean, something's going to be said, because it's going to get old real quick.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's frustrating for me, and like I said, I know I caused an incident, and I know because of that it took other people out. I take 100% blame for that. But that's not something I do on a weekly basis. There are guys who are literally out there doing crazy stuff and wrecking people on a weekly basis, or putting people on the wall, I should say, on a weekly basis. And because guess what? It's not getting noticed because it didn't cause caution. So the broadcast team isn't able to catch it. I'm pretty sure that I would say that, I'm not going to say that they're going to turn a blind eye. I'm pretty sure they're not catching it. But these are some of the drivers who shouldn't be in the league. And like I said, in my opinion, it should be brought to light. And hopefully, eventually it does. Because those guys don't need to be in the league anymore. We're too good to have people out here just, putting people on the wall and doing other dumb shit like that. And again, if you're gonna do that, then at least take responsibility for it and be like, okay, yeah, that was my fault. I made a mistake. Mistakes happen. That's fine. But if you're gonna do it on a week, every damn race, I'm not gonna say week to week because we've been off so damn much. But if you're gonna do it on a week to week basis, then it might be time for you to find something else to do. Because obviously you're not having fun, and we've all put way too much time in practice and running pickup races and everything like that to just to run good in this league. If that's your way of having fun and by wrecking people and pissing people off, then find something else to do. And rant.
What do you think about having a harsher penalty on somebody who, say, causes X amount of cautions in, say, X amount of races?
Well, I think they already have that pretty much with his penalty point per.
Yeah, but sometimes I feel like that's not strict enough, because I feel like,
it's too easy to give them back.
Yeah, because it's like you get sorry to pick on Jerry Miller, but at least I know early in the season he had a bunch of points, but I use him as an example. I think he had 4 or 5 points early in the season, but then it's he smartens up, and it's he'll be the cleanest driver for 4 or 5 weeks straight, and then he'll go back to his old ways.
Yeah.
Also, on the subject of Jeremy Miller, just because we were watching him go around here on the background video for so long, those tiny ass numbers that he has on his car are making me irrationally angry. And I would like somebody to tell him to fix them.
Bothered you that much, huh?
Well, we were staring at it for a while. He's getting me irritated.
Okay, Jeremy, fix your damn number, sir.
Please.
I don't know what else to say. All right. Well, like I said, I have my rant. It's frustrating. Like I said, I'm not gonna say any names or anything like that. I think if you feel like I'm calling you out, then it's probably you. But I'm just tired of seeing other guys be taken out, and it's just you watch it and you're like, you did that because why? Cause he upset you, so you just ran him over. Okay. Like I don't know. I know it happens in real life. I mean, look, we can go back and look at the Gateway situation with Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain was irritated because he couldn't pass him, so in his opinion, he gave him a little bump. But that bump was a little bit more than a little bump and puts Denny in the wall. So then if you watch the race, I'm not gonna go over it again, but it was it's pretty hilarious, the whole race. But yeah, I mean, if that's the type of games you want to play, then this RSR ain't for you, man. I mean, like I said, we put way too much time weekly to try and race with the best of the best. Give up your spot, let somebody new come in, let them enjoy themselves and try to race the best of the best and try to win races and win the championship. That's just my opinion. Like I said, you don't have to take that. You don't have to listen to anything I just said, but if you agree with me, then give me a like on the on the video, or put a comment down, or subscribe. Hey, pick one. As we see Eberhard going around the back. So, on that note, we're going to go ahead and switch over since we got Eberhard spinning in the background. We're going to go ahead and switch over to the recap of the cautions. The first one, I believe, is going to be lap 45 with Mr. Danson, and well, it's actually 45 to 50. You'll understand why when I show it to you. But this one is between Matt Danson and Anthony DeBarro. So let's check it out. All right, folks, we are back. Again, we are going to ride with Mr. Matt Danson on lap 45 at the time. So I kind of set it up for you guys as usual. So he's going, this is turn 3 into turn 4. It looks like he hits the curb a little bit. And I'm just going to say that maybe he got loose. Or needed a caution. Because he was damaged and he was very slow. I'm not going to say he did. I'm not going to say he did it intentionally. But I'll let you guys make that decision.
I think his arm got itchy.
Ooh, Clint Boyer, right?
Taking lessons from Chase Elliott.
Ooh. Okay. Alright, I hear y'all. So this part is the restart. And this is after that, basically after that caution came out, he came down pit road, got his car fixed, and was trying to get it as fixed as much as possible. He's trying to catch up to the field. He was a little bit lag behind. And from what I understand, DeBarro was upset that he didn't jump the start, but as you can see in the mirror, I mean, he's further behind. And so I guess DeBarro got upset and said, I'm going to take out Danson and myself. Pretty dumb. To say that lightly. That was just dumb. But
I know when I broadcast, I don't think showed it. So this is actually the first time I saw it, and I was like, because I know there was big talk about it during the race, and they were arguing in chat during the race, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then of course I saw the penalties that were handed out for this, and I actually got a side with Danson. That's like, why did he get penalized so severely for that? Because I mean, he, in my opinion, did nothing wrong in that scenario. I mean, DeBarro just straight turned down and wrecked him.
I mean, the only thing that I could probably say is that. That's probably the only thing that would probably make me question.
Yeah, but
that had nothing to do with this part we're showing now.
Yeah, but his penalty was like avoidable contact. Like, what does that have to do with his first incident?
I don't know.
He got the. I guess he didn't claim his little self spin. I'm not.
No,
sure
I don't think he did.
He didn't.
Yeah, why he wouldn't have claimed that. Going back to that real quick though. I don't think he really spun on purpose, because I was behind him, like 10 laps leading
Yeah,
up to that
right,
or
yeah.
something like that, and he was getting real loose and started smacking the wall and shit. So I don't think he spun on purpose. I think he maybe got loose, and then at that point didn't really care. He was able to just let it go safely. So I don't think he really started the spin on purpose, but I also don't think he called on all his talent to save it at that point.
You're right, yeah.
But then this whole incident with DeBarro, I think it's kind of BS that they both got an avoidable contact penalty on this.
So I'm sorry,
in
DeBarro
my-
got it as well, or no?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
so-
both did.
Okay.
Yeah, they both got avoidable contact, but now, like, for, I guess, the borrow, it's understandable, because obviously it's blatant that he just kind of turned him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I
like,
would
why Danson got it, I have no idea.
Yeah, I would have, if just DeBarro had gotten it, I guess that'd be because it was a pretty stupid incident that caused, himself and another car to basically retire from the race, and you can't, since it didn't bring out a yellow, he doesn't get a normal penalty. But I don't understand why Danson got it. I guess maybe they're saying Evan's saying he kind of went straight into the corner, which you could maybe make that argument, but looking at
He's
it right
not-
here, he's
yeah,
not
he's-
even
he's not
in
there
the corner
yet.
entry yet. Yeah.
Well,
And he's
they're
got
not
so
at-
much he's got so much more speed too than DeBarro that he would have cleared him, in the next split second. So maybe
Mind
not.
that,
But
like-
anyway, he was the faster car, and at that point I think it's on DeBarro to make the turn safely.
Yeah, I mean, I can make the argument for Danson. I mean, he's actually driving into the line. Like, he was aiming for basically that, like, first seam. Like, he can't go much lower than that. Like, that's the line.
Yeah.
Because technically, the high line would be I guess, straddling the second seam in a way for DeBarro. I like I said, I think DeBarro was just irritated. And I think I remember a comment in the sim about the whole restart and how Danson supposedly jumped it, but, like, I mean, like I said, he's just catching up to the field, so I don't know what he's supposed to do. Like,
Yeah, he's like a mile away. Coming with the full head of steam, what's he gonna do? Slow down to pace speed?
yeah. So, I mean, this is a perfect example of, like, doing stupid shit. And it's like, why? Like,
Especially because both these guys are in like freaking last place. There's
Yeah.
no point in doing it. Just let him go. If you're DeBarro, just let him go. Just fall in behind him. Who gives a shit how pissed off you are? And
and
luckily it didn't bring out a caution.
I'll say, if you think you're faster than him, it's like you'll probably pass him back in like a lap or two. If you think you're faster, it's like,
I don't
Hindsight,
This is-
Danson's probably hoping he had saved that then. The first spin wouldn't have been in that situation.
true.
Yeah. That's a very good point as well. If you didn't cause a caution, hey, I mean you're damaged, yeah. But I will say this: if he doesn't self spin, the whole race dynamic is different. I don't even know if look. We might actually, cause you had talked about it earlier. We probably actually had green flag pit stops.
Oh yeah, there were a couple people that started a pit that were trying to do the undercut.
Yeah.
And if that caution had come out, we probably would have, or maybe, hopefully, would have gone through those green flag pit stops, and then everybody would have really been spread out. Might have gone green to the end. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, just frustration, absolute frustration. Frustrated with Danson self spinning. He's better than that, man. I mean, come on, you definitely could have saved that. Hit the brakes, brake save it like everybody else does these days. You're too damn good not to be able to do that. Then come on, I expect better of you. You're friggin' one of the best drivers on road, so there, in my opinion, there's no excuse. But as far as this second part right here, that's BS. Sorry, I gotta call DeBarro on that one. I don't see where Danson does anything wrong. He's setting up for the pass and everything. So I don't know. That's one of those things where I would probably have a magnifying glass on on DeBarro, honestly, and just watch him the rest of the season, and then make a decision whether he should come back or not. I mean, that's just my opinion. Everybody might not feel the same way. I'm pretty sure there's people who don't feel that same way. But that right there, for you to get upset because he jumped to start, if you want to say that, and because he passed you, so you're gonna take him out on some BS like that. Find somewhere else. Find something else to do for yourself. Anyway, sorry, ranting again. As I was stating earlier, it's frustrating to see shit like this. So we got the next one coming up. So next clip is going to be lap 89. This is not as frustrating, but it was a pretty interesting wreck. So let me pull it up for you guys. We'll take a look. Alright, we are back for another video to watch. Again, this is going to be lap 89. We are riding along with Mr. Daniel Eberhardt as he's getting a little loose on the bottom. If you look behind you, Jeremy Miller also gets loose as well. They go 3 wide, and Jeremy hits the car up top, which is Michael Johnson. Mr. Eberhardt decides not to hold the brakes, gas it up, bounces off the wall, runs into I think the 19, maybe. I could be wrong. It was somebody else he ran into on the bottom. Oh no, it was the 04. So the 04 goes down, or goes up high, and then, as you can see, just puts other teammate Chris Rabel in the wall. So I really don't have anything nice to say about this one, so I'll let you guys talk. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know if I have much nice things to say either about this. So, I guess my biggest complaint, I think it just got marked as netcode, which it clearly looks like there's some netcode between Jeremy and MJ.
Mm-hmm.
That initiates the caution. As far as Daniel, I mean, why are you full throttle? Like, I don't get it. Like, you should be locking the brakes down at that point, not full throttle into the outside wall, collecting other cars. I mean, that's probably my biggest gripe on this caution. Other than that, there's not really much to talk about besides Daniel, just, like I said, wide open through the wreck. Like, why? So.
Well, I think we know why. And it's sad that we have to say that, but you do that to collect other cars. I mean, that's what you do.
I mean, we come to that assumption, but I mean, he's never gonna admit that, and I mean, I don't know. I have nothing good to say about it. So
yeah, you could actually see his RPMs freaking pegged.
Yeah, you're like redlining. Like, why?
I don't know. I feel like he gets into these moods, or I don't know what you want to call it, in some of these races where he's started to screw up. Maybe the race has kind of gotten away from him a little bit, which is really stupid because, I mean, you can come back from these little incidents that he has at the beginning. But I was behind him, same as I was behind Danson, and he was getting loose and shit too, and it was tough for him to drive. But dude, just power through it for the race. But he gets clipped there, and I think, like you said, he just kind of said screw it and kept it floored. I don't know if he was hoping he would take somebody out, but I think he just didn't give a crap at that point. So,
and we were talking about having some penalties on people with certain cautions or in certain time points, but I think we should maybe have caution reviews more seriously looked at for stuff like that, where it's like people gun it up and just oh, let's see if I can take out 5 other cars.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
It's frustrating, man.
In my opinion, Eberhardt probably should be penalized in that situation too. So that's just my thought.
Yeah, nobody gets penalized in that because technically it was net code. I think maybe MJ. Well, MJ, I think, had somebody above him.
Actually, he didn't. He just didn't go. He didn't go all the way to the wall.
Yeah, so I'd say that's a little bit on MJ for not going higher up, especially when he saw that DeBarro's down there slow and they're about to be 3 wide, and then also kind of on Jeremy as well. I'd say 50-50 in that respect, just because he crowded up towards MJ so much and had so much more space below to Daniel, as you can see right there. But I'd say that was a racing incident / netcode. But like you said, I definitely think self-destruction after a wreck starts should maybe be looked at.
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe that's something that we would definitely seriously look into, because some of this stuff is just like, I mean, like I said, this is the type of stuff you would see in like your pickup races. This is not something you would normally see in the league race, and if you did see this in a league race, you would usually know, like, hey, there's a huge penalty coming down to that person. Like, you would see a harsher penalty. Yes, netcode, but the other part of it is that there's got to be some type of penalty towards somebody to stop all the reckless part of the wrecks. Yes, stuff happens, that's fine, but if you just take that, then it's between those 3 drivers, that's it, and maybe the 04. The 29 makes it through without a problem. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say he make it through without a problem. I would say he has a 50-50 chance of making it. That was a 0% chance of making it, because basically somebody got upset and wanted to, keep it pegged instead of trying to attempt to lock it down.
Yeah,
that tells me that you don't give a crap about your competitors. That's what that tells me.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, at no moment in that replay of his in-car that we should see literally pegging the RPMs out. Like, at that point, you should be brakes and trying to get that car slowed down as much as possible to try and minimize damage for yourself and other people.
Yeah.
Not full throttle and cause more damage.
We see it too often. Which is sad. Well, hopefully change comes soon. Alright, so we are about to watch the most controversial part of the race, which was lap 119. One lap to go. Or I should say 1 lap before we got the white flag. The incident between Grant and McBride. Let's dig into it. Alright, we are back for our second to last clip. Again, the most controversial caution, lap 119, between Grant and McBride. We're going to ride along with Grant here, and he is attempting to go for the pass. And in my opinion, it looks like he just tried to outbrake him, and it pushed up and it put them into the wall.
Of course it'd be something like that.
I mean, I kind of want to see it one more time with the outside view. I mean, yes, he drove it in there, but like, it's not like he was outrageous to the point where it's like he drove him all the way up to the fence or anything. If anything, like, I almost feel like it was just hard, close racing where both him and Rhett were trying to fight for the same position, and it almost seemed like a little bit of netcode there too as well on the right rear. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I kind of want to see an outside view again too. I mean, we'll kind of see it here, but Grant drifted up into him.
Yeah, I mean, he did. Like, there's no doubt about it, but it's not like it's outrageous. Like, it's not like he got shoved up a whole lane or anything.
No, but during the race, I mean, you guys both saw it, and you were both on the bottom at some point. It was kind of like the accepted thing to go, into the bottom lane, kind of below that seam, and I think maybe that's what Rhett was expecting him to do. And
Yeah.
and Grant was just trying to take away the line from him, and definitely drove in the second lane when I don't think that was the accepted etiquette for this race.
No, I agree,
So I
because I
think
know
that
when I know when I was making passes through the field, like I usually try to keep my left side just below the seam. And he was kind of a little bit higher than that. So I kind of agree with that.
yeah, he was basically taking over that second lane, and Rhett wasn't expecting it, and just he drifted up in him.
So now that both
Yeah.
of you guys have seen this,
But hey, you gotta go for that 9th place spot,
okay.
Yeah, and I guess that's it. I
Go ahead.
mean, I guess that's the other thing too. Like, I mean, obviously you want to fight for every position you can, but it's like, I don't know. Like, it's literally a lap and a half to go, and at that point you can't, like, I don't know, cut a little bit of a break. I don't know. Especially for like a position like that. Like if that was a race win scenario, then it's a little bit more understandable, but I don't know. I'm mixed feelings about it.
So I was gonna ask, how do you? Because I know that both of you guys hadn't seen that. You guys didn't know what happened, how it happened. You guys just know that Grant and McBride were part of it. And now that you've seen it, do you feel as? And I know it's been close to a week, but do you guys still feel that upset about it now that you've actually seen it?
Oh, I'm so upset about it from
Okay.
my standpoint, just because, like I said, we spend the entire race running fairly clean. Like up until that point, we only had 3 cautions,
Yeah.
and 2 of them were self spins. So we, in my opinion, we only really had 1 true cautions, which was the last one we just saw with Jeremy, MJ, and Eberhardt.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a fairly clean race. So everyone knew up to that point, like what their limits are and where they should be driving, especially in passing scenarios. We had 119 laps of that, and to have that happen basically on almost coming to the last lap, like I feel like shouldn't happen.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it wasn't. I'd have to imagine this wasn't the first time Grant was passing somebody, on the bottom. And like I said, it seemed like the accepted etiquette was car on the bottom runs the bottom lane, unless you can tell that guy's a lot higher than normal. And he just kind of chucks it in there, taking away the second lane from Rhett. Which, I mean, it's even shittier because this wasn't even the wake flag lap, unfortunately. We got 2 laps to go, and he's doing a last lap, last ditch effort
Mm-hmm.
to get like freaking 10th place or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna lie. I actually thought this was gonna go a lot crazier, but it didn't. So.
I'm glad. I told you off the, before this all started, I really did not want to go back and even look at the caution, right after the race. Or a lot of times I'll go back and watch the broadcast, after the race, after I've had dinner and everything, just go back and kind of watch it. I didn't want to watch anything from this because I was just so irritated and pissed off about, the caution coming out right there at the end. And I gotta say, I'm glad I didn't watch it after this, because I might freaking quit the league or something. I'm sick of this stupid stuff ruining these races.
I hear you. I will say, before I kind of say my thing, I guess, I had a situation actually, last season, actually I believe it's with Agnell Phillip, Vegas, and I actually twice, actually, now I think about it. The one that I'm specifically talking about is between me and I believe Agnell Phillip. We were at Vegas, and I think it was like 5 laps to go or whatever. And I attempted to make a bonsai move, and it basically didn't turn. I mean, I got past him. I think I was trying to get out of the corner for turn 2, and it got tight. It pushed me up, and I clipped Agnell's front end, which turned me head onto the wall and took me and him out of finishing in the top 10. And it was basically for one position. I think I was just going for either 6th or 7th or something like that. So I'm not going to say that I've never done this before, because I have. But I will say that at some point, because McBride had been falling back, let's put a pin in that. He was falling back. He actually, I believe, started in 3rd, and he had fell all the way back. Was falling pretty fast. So, McBride's going to try to do everything possible to stop the bleeding. I understand that. And Grant, I think he had been trying to pass him for the last couple laps and got repassed, if I remember correctly. So, he was just trying to make the pass, shut the door and call it and move on. But I will say that I've learned that you gotta know when to make that pass. And as yes, we're you're coming down to the end and you're trying to get that extra position and everything like that. In hindsight, should he have maybe waited? Maybe. If you're that far along, I honestly, I don't think, even if it's the white flag, I don't think McBride even, does the same thing. I think maybe he kind of falls back a little bit. It's like, okay, well, he's attempted to try to pass me a couple times. I just want to finish the race at this point.
Here's
Go ahead.
I'll say real quick, the real thing I find frustrating is like, okay, I think Rhett has some damage at the point, which is why he was starting to fall back at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's like Grant had a really good run on him down the front stretch. Like, there was no reason to be driving it in that deep. Like, even if he broke at the same point as Rhett, like, he was more than likely probably going to beat him off of 2 through the corner. Like, there was no reason for him to drive it in that deep and try and clear him before the corner.
Well, here's
in my
the thing.
opinion.
I don't even think he was, quote unquote, driving it in deep, because if he was driving in deep and at least was trying to drive the accepted lane for the car on the bottom, he would have been aiming for that bottom lane. He wasn't even aiming for that bottom lane. He was driving that thing straight. He was going to take that second lane, from the beginning. And you're right, Rhett did have, you can see it here in the replay, but Rhett was in front of me. I had freaking front row seat for all this crap.
Yeah, you were.
But Rhett was in front of me, on this last run, and he ended up getting loose and popped the wall pretty good. And I was pretty sure he had suspension damage with how hard he hit it. So that's why he was falling back so hard. And like you said, you can see that, if Grant just ran the freaking line, everybody else was running on the bottom all damn race. He was, like you said, he was ahead. If he just ran it, he would have been fine coming off the corner. He probably would have cleared him coming off the corner. And even if he didn't, he would have been so far up on Rhett that he could have cleared him by turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny you mentioned the damage to Rhett. And now that you recall that, I remember making the comment to you, like, we were racing side by side, I think, when that happened, Rhett and I thought I might have touched him, and I double checked with you, and you said no. So
yeah, I don't know, man.
But yeah, with the Grant thing, like, yeah, I mean, even if he was down, just even if it was another quarter of a lane, like, just get his left side below the seam, like, he would have been fine, in my opinion. So it's just like he drove in there to take that lane, and just never made the corner.
I like Grant, and he's not like a habitual incident causer like some other people, but
right.
Man, stupid shit. It's really frustrating.
Oh yeah,
it's the kind of stuff that kind of ruins iRacing a little bit, honestly.
Yeah, it's Grant is definitely not one of those guys who goes out and intentionally wrecks people, or anything like that. He's aggressive when he feels like he needs to be aggressive. For the most part, he's a really clean driver. But God, man, I just wish it never happened. I mean, just to put a pin in it, honestly, I wish it never freaking happened. I wish. There's a part of me that wishes Rhett would have just been like, all right, forget it, just go. At this point, I'm just trying to finish. There's no way I'm gonna be able to really hold you off. Fine, take it, and I'll just do the best I can to finish as high as I can. That's my opinion for Grant. And my opinion for Grant is I didn't say that. That's my opinion for Rhett. Sorry, my opinion for Grant. I just wish that he was could have just entered just a little bit lower. Would have probably and it does kind of look like a little bit of net code. I don't know why, but maybe that's just the view of it. But I do wish Grant just went down to the lower lane and made cleared him. Basically, he would have cleared him in my opinion. And then they kind of just would have went on and kept moving. But of course, that's talking in hindsight. So I'm not gonna dwell on that anymore. That's what happened. And we're gonna look at the last clip, which is my dumb self causing like a 6-car pileup, 7-car pileup. I don't know how many cars were involved in that, but like I said, I'm not a perfect driver. I know that for a fact. But I will say, because of this, my incident happened. Probably everybody's not going to believe that, but I mean, I'm going to stick to that, and that's what I'm going to say. So we're going to move on to that one. So let's take a look at that. Alright, so we are now at the last clip. This is myself being an idiot once again. And I don't know. Like I said, from my view, I still had some time before I was gonna hit him. Maybe I don't realize how long my hood is. I don't freaking know. But here we go. So I'm behind Thomas George, I believe. So I kind of gave him a little tap, which I was like, oh shit, I'm about to wreck him. But teammate William kind of pinched him. Didn't mean to, but I ended up doing it. And Andrew just checks up a hell of a lot earlier than I thought he would. And so seeing the review, it wasn't good at all. But I'm over the radio before I even come out of. I think I'm apologizing to him. What? I think here. I'm already like on the radio saying I'm sorry, I apologize, that was on me, blah blah blah. And if I actually was smart, I would have actually pulled over and let him get that position, because that would have probably been the right thing to do. But I didn't. I didn't realize how close he was even after I turned him in the corner. But anyway, so I know this is you guys' first time seeing that. So give me your raw opinions. Let me have it.
I mean, the way I see it, I mean, I was like, oh wow, that is kind of rough. But then like just watching Andrew's cockpit there, like he did brake a lot sooner than at least I know based off my braking markers. So, I mean, if you're not used to someone breaking that early, I kind of, I mean, I've done that before too. I mean, how at like Martinsville or tracks where it's like you brake and everyone has different braking points. It's sometimes rough, especially if you haven't been behind them at all that race or whatever.
I was behind him all race. That's the problem. But I don't remember him braking that early.
Well, same. Okay, well, maybe, yeah. Then maybe he just was braking earlier for whatever reason. I don't know.
I mean, because the 19 is on the outside of him. And look, folks, I'm not trying to make up for my mistake. I know I effed up. I get that. I take full blame on that. But I'm just trying to explain from my view, and from my view, I don't brake until there's brakes, basically two little breaks in the barrier on the left on the pit lane side. That's actually where I brake at. So he broke a hell of a lot early, especially on fresh tires.
He's like a whole car length plus before that.
Right, and I just didn't expect that. I actually, because I wasn't getting a run on him, so I said, okay, well, let me get back behind him, and we'll just go ahead, we'll hit the corner, whatever. My plan was to kind of try and get the run off the corner, run down to that bottom lane, and get him off of 4, which is a run I actually put on him and somebody else. I passed both of them in the one corner by doing the same thing. So that was the idea, because I was honestly just trying to get a top 10, but I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, honestly, nothing that Andrew did wrong. I mean,
No,
but
no,
I mean,
not
the
at
other
all.
thing too. I mean, the other thing is too. It's like, I think he could have been up a little further to the 19 car, but I mean, he doesn't have to. I mean,
Right.
where he was running was fine. It's just like I said, the only thing that it stands out is the fact that his braking was a lot sooner. Which, from your point of view, if that was me, I'm not gonna lie, I would have probably wrecked him too. Because, like, I mean, my braking point was, I think, pretty close to yours. Actually, I think mine was like right at the end of the barriers.
Okay.
Is where my braking point was. So mine was even a little bit later than yours. So I would have probably definitely ran over him if that was me. So but I guess this is where I go back to, like, if this was any other driver besides obviously you, I mean, or anybody just in general, obviously you never want to see this happen, but like, as a green white checkered, like, we all kind of expect craziness to happen.
Right.
And you made the comment, like, if we don't have that incident with Grant and Rhett, like, this never happens.
Right.
Oh yeah, it was freaking chaos with half the people on old tires, half the people on fresh tires.
Yep.
But yeah, I probably would have hit him too. I mean, I almost did during the rest of the race. Not Andrew, but other people, just because it's kind of hard to. You don't know if they're going to break earlier than you or not, so it's hard to tell. I mean, obviously, hindsight should have gotten in behind him, because with him checking up so early, you could have put it 3 wide, probably past them both, but no way for you to know at that point.
Yeah, I had thought about that actually for like a split second, and then
Yeah, you didn't really have the run.
Right,
but-
I didn't. So that would have meant I would have had to drive it in a hell of a lot further, and I would have slid up. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I honestly, I respect him too much to do something. I feel like that's like, if you're racing for like the lead, you do some stuff like that to kind of maybe move him up the track a little bit, or kind of scare him because he doesn't expect you there. But
kind of like the incident that led to this. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. So yeah, so if for the folks involved in that, I truly do apologize. Again, I take full responsibility on that. If you want to wreck me in the next race, or turn me, or whatever, then, do what you need to do. Like I said, I'm not being a Ross Chastain. I'm tell you that shit. But
Are we gonna call you Ross Chastain?
no, you're not, because you go ahead and do that shit. I will turn your ass. Don't care. But no, I and I did get a penalty because I did claim it, even though I was told after the fact that it was netcode. But I think at that point I still think that even if it was netcode, I still deserve that penalty because again, if it wasn't for the netcode, I think eventually I still would have touched him. I don't know if I would have wrecked him though. We might have just rubbed doors, but it is what it is. We're all racing on the sim, so. All right, so that is it for the clips of cautions, and yeah, so that's that. So let's dig into the results and get those pulled up. All right, so we are back. So we got the results up. So looking at the results, well, I guess we'll start off at the beginning. Actually, an hour and 25-minute race. It's actually not too bad, which was 125 laps. So basically, that's not bad. For 2 leaders, 1 lead change, 4 cautions, only for 16 laps. So, I would say that was overall, for time wise, I would say that wasn't bad at all. Some congratulations to Sam Nieto for getting his first win in the RS. I don't know if it's the first win in the RSR series or the RSR League. I know it's the first win in his Cup series. I will say that, but I'm not sure in the Xfinity or anything else. So, again, congratulations on that. With his teammate Bradley Burke finishing second, Tom Wetmore, Kevin King, who dominated literally the race. He led 100. Look at that, 119 laps led out of the 120, which is what it was supposed to be, and you come up short because of the incident. That's pretty frustrating. Brandon Six finishing 5th, Agnew Phillips 6th, Nick Silver 7th, Cody Harris 8th. Actually, after having a penalty and coming back through the field, he had a penalty. We didn't really talk about it, but he had a penalty for changing lanes before the start finish line. He got black flags, came down pit road. Then the caution came out, so he never went a lap down. So he actually had to come back through the field, and actually was on par to finish top 5. But him and Kevin King got a little battling going on the white flag at the last corner. Cody got loose, I believe, and hit the wall, and he fell all the way back to 8th. So it kind of sucks for him, but still good effort. Our teammate Sean Casto finishing with a 9th because he stayed out on that green-white checker. Jeremy Miller finishes 10th with no front end at all. Still crazy. Ross Cato 11th, William Smith 12th, our teammate, good job to him. Myself finishing 13th. Andrew finishing 14th, and Eric Stanford 15th, Thomas George 16th, Timothy Johnston 17th, and I'm going to leave the rest for you guys to view. Is there anything that stands out for you guys? Any drivers you expected to do better, worse? Anybody that stands out?
I know for me, I mean, just the fact that the top 10 in general was just scrambled up just because of that last restart. But I mean, obviously Kevin, like you're saying, leading the 119 laps, pretty incredible. I just wish I got my qualifying lap to battle him, because like I said, I think I had something for him. But actually, I gotta say, Jerry Miller kind of stood out to me. I mean, he actually had speed. He just didn't have his long run speed.
No, he didn't.
no, he didn't. But he actually had some decent short run speed. I'll definitely give him that.
Please don't pump that boy's head up.
I mean, I gotta give him some credit. He does some dumb things at times, and I gotta give him shit for it. But like sometimes, like he is pretty good at times as well. So.
Respect where respect is due. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
This time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing is shocking to me is Andrew finishing where he did.
I kind of, didn't really help with that.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess because of the late race caution or some other things that happened, but I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like he was in the top 5 most of the race. Like, he didn't show like incredible speed, but like he had decent speed, I think.
Before that caution, he was actually right behind me, and I think I was 8th, so I think he was 9th.
Okay.
So he was actually starting to fall. So I think his tires were starting to give up on him. Where mine I was on the loose side, so I was able to kind of make some more aggressive moves than he could. But a top 10 would have been solid for him. It just sucks that my lack of judgment put him 14th. So I'm just glad that he didn't wreck completely, because I really felt like shit. Even though I still feel like shit, but
The other one, obviously, that stood out to me during the race, that was, I'm gonna say shocking, but like it it was nice to see him up there, but was Rhett.
Mm-hmm.
He was second place
Yeah, he was.
on that second to final restart that we had, and of course I ran him down, and was battling with him side by side, and then of course, like I said, he pounded the outside wall, and then ultimately that's what kind of hurt his race. But I mean, up until that point, like he had a really good car. He definitely either put in the practice laps or the track just suited him, one of the two. So glad to see him do well.
Yeah, Heartbreak Award for me goes to Kevin and Rhett. Like you said, Rhett was having a good race. He was solid all race, and then sequence of events took him out of it, and then obviously Kevin leading all the damn laps, except for the last few.
Right.
As sick as I felt freaking sick after that race, and as sick as I felt, man, when I was thinking about him, I don't know how he stood it. That would have been something I would have hung up my freaking iRacing helmet for, because that was he ran the perfect race. He was dumb, obviously he led all the laps.
Yep.
So obviously he was the one deserving of that win. Not saying Sam didn't deserve it. He made the right call once the caution came out. He made the winning call, so that's good for him. But if that hadn't happened, Kevin obviously had us covered.
Oh yeah, for sure. I guess for me, I guess the Heartbreak Award would probably go. Well, I guess I have to agree with you guys. It definitely has to go to Kevin. I mean, he dominated the race. I mean, honestly, should have won. I mean, one lap shy of winning the damn thing. That's definitely gonna stink for a while. It's one of those where it's, and then the fact that you're off for 2 weeks, yeah, that doesn't help. It doesn't help at all.
I'll say real quick that I think the real heartbreak for him was and I was with him because I was kind of running him down, I think, towards the end, but I think we were entering 3 or in the middle of 3, so we basically were a quarter of the way through the lap to almost taking the white flag for that race to be over, and for that to happen to him, it's just yeah, I would be the same way. I'd be so sick.
Yeah, absolutely. The attaboy, then I would have to give I would probably say Cody Harris. And the reason I'm gonna say that is because if I remember correctly, he was up front the majority of the time as well. Yeah, he started 8th. Or I'm sorry, started 7th. So he was up front the majority of the time. Had that penalty, was running with Kevin. For a long stretch, probably the middle of that race. They ran 1-2, and he made Kevin honest to the race, and the caution came out. He went down there. He came out still P2. Restarted and had a lack of judgment. I know he did one of the NIS races. He did the NIS race with me on Thursday, and there, people just do whatever the hell they want to do, honestly. So, he probably quickly forgot, oh crap, I can't move. I can't change the lanes before the start finish line, and he did try to hurry up and change it back, but it was already too late. Once you move, I mean that's it. So yeah, that part sucked, but he was able, like I said, he pit on the green, caution came out, so he got lucky on that, and then drove all the way back. Where did he? Was he third? Either second or yeah, because he made it all the way back up there, so he was freaking flying through the field. And then of course, like I said earlier, he had him and Kevin were battling for P4, and I don't know if he got loose or got tight or whatever, but he ended up falling and losing quite a bit of position and fell back to 8th. So, good hustle, and a great way to try and really go after it, even after the the penalty or whatever. I know that's probably frustrating as hell. But to see that he came all the way back to basically a top 5 and almost having to challenge Kevin again, that's pretty damn amazing. So
yeah, I forgot about him for my Heartbreak Award too. I was a little pissed off for him too that happened.
yeah, them two were I think 6. I think if you were up there, I think also you, Nick. I think you had I think you had a chance to really go up there and kind of show what you can do. But track position was king. So, yeah. So kudos to you guys as well. So, all right. So let's move on to the standings. Pull that up. And as of right now, so of course 6 has increased his points lead for P1. So then you got Cody Harris, Nick Silver, Kevin King, myself, we all stay, and Andrew, we all stay the same, 1 through 6. Sam Nieto picks up 3 spots from his win. Bradley Burke picks up 1 spot from finishing 2nd. Thomas George lost a spot. Agnell is the same. Sean Castle picks up 4 from his top 10 finish. Connor Horn did not race, so he lost 4 spots. Timothy Johnston lost a spot. MJ got involved in the wreck with Eberhardt and the 13 car, which I can't think of right now. So that, he had a bad finish. And Tom Wetmore picks up 3, which is a good pickup. I know he finished top 10. And I'll stop at Michael Lara, who stayed the same at top 16. So, again, same thing as before. You guys see anything, any good pickups, any attaboys, or anybody that surprises you at this point in the league? We are race 11 of 34, so we're getting close to playoffs.
Well, you were kind of touching on it earlier before the podcast about old Daniel Eberhardt with his win down there in 39th or 38th place in the standings. He's probably the one that stands out to me in all this. I counted just a second ago. We got 9 races left before the playoffs start, so I think he's got to get to 25th. And
do you think he can do it? Let's go with that.
Well, let's see what who's 25th.
25th is Shane.
He's got 145 points, and how many does Daniel have?
83.
So it's got a ways to go. 60 some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he basically has almost 2 full races, not quite, but I mean, definitely dangerous territory with 9 races left. It's definitely doable for him for sure. But he definitely needs to start racking off at least some top 10s. Like, he can't afford to really have the wrecks and stuff that he's been either in or I know Gateway, he didn't really show a ton of speed.
He was fast early, but then it all kind of started to go south a little bit.
Yeah, he kept dropping off pretty badly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, obviously he's always has like some kind of speed, but like he didn't show his like race-winning speed usually. Like, he's usually pretty fast almost everywhere we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, with 9 races to go, I think it's still doable, but I would say once we get down to like 7 or 6 to go, depending on how far back he still is, I don't know. That starts to become like a red flag. Like, does he even get there in time?
So, don't panic yet is the consensus is from you guys.
Yeah, for me, I would say not full panic yet, but I would give it probably another 2 races, 3 races maybe. And if he's still that far back, if not even in a worse situation, then it starts to become a full panic mode.
Matt Danson maybe needs to have some good solid finishes because he's slipping a little bit there. He's back down to 17th.
I wouldn't even worry about that. I mean, shit, we got 2 more road courses coming up. He'll win those, and he'll be in the top 10 before you know it.
You got a point. you do got a point. Hey, but you never know because there are two other road course aces out there. You got Cody Harris and you got Liam Sheen. So you know,
Hey, maybe those three will get to battle and help the rest of the field out, wreck each other, and then we can actually have a decent battle.
wouldn't that be amazing? I'm not saying that should happen, but you know, if it were to happen, hey, pass the buck. Give somebody else a chance to win these damn races. Besides y'all three, but well, I gotta throw Kevin King in there too because he was fast. He made a lot of mistakes at Coda. He's according from what he said. So we'll see. I don't. What's the next? Is Road America the next road course? So, and I think a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable at Road America. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Plus with the new build, we'll see how it is. So, all right. Next to the last segment of the podcast, we're gonna move over to the power rankings, and let's pull them up here. Sorry. That's all you're going to get. There's no glamour or anything like that. I eventually will figure that out. But for now, this is what we got. So, as you can see, gray means no movement. Green means you improved. And red means you dropped. So, compare it to Darlington, which was the last race we did, believe it or not. Or is that Charlotte? Darlington or Charlotte? Was it Charlotte?
Charlotte.
Right. Okay, sorry. Too many breaks in between these races. Hard to keep up with this stuff. Anyway, so we got 6 still holding P1 in the power rankings. And then you got Kevin King, who moves up to P2. Cody Harris is going to drop to 3rd. Mr. Nick Silver picks up a spot and is now P4. Andrew drops a spot, thanks to my lack of talent. Sam Nieto with his win, he picks up a spot. Actually, I think he picks up several spots, actually. I move back spots because of just my finishes. Agnew Phillip stayed the same, and P8. Bradley Burke picks up quite a few spots with his P2. I believe he was sitting outside the top 16, so for him to move all the way up to 9th is pretty damn good. So that's gotta be somebody you gotta look out for too, because he looks like he's might be on a run. You got Thomas George P10, Tom Wetmore stayed the same. Sorry, Thomas George actually moved up one. And then Sean Casto did lose some spots, even though he finished P10. Timothy Johnson moved up some. Michael Johnson, Michael Loria lost some. Ross Cato joins our top 16. Yeah, I don't believe he was in the last one. I could be wrong. But yeah, he gained. William also gained. What was actually funny is that he was in the top 16 until I did the results on Ross, and Ross literally leapfrogged him. So it kind of sucks, but shout out to Ross. With having some good finishing, decent finishes, and both of them guys keep it up, and I might see them in the top 16 for the next race, which is at Nashville. So it sucks for Connor Horn, who again didn't show up. Matt Danson with his incident with DeBarro decided to quit, and Rhett getting into the last being involved in the last caution. Unfortunately, kind of held him back, and he drops quite a bit of spots. So, from you guys, anything that pop up by you guys, anything interesting that you guys see on the spreadsheet?
I think Bradley Burke quietly working his way into the top 10. Kind of seems like one of those guys I never really noticed during the race, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. But I never really noticed him, and then suddenly I'll realize he's running like top 5 or something like that. So he's stringing together some solid finishes, obviously moving his way up.
Yeah. That's funny you say that with Bradley. I kind of the same way. Like, I feel like I'm just running my race and not focusing. It's like, oh, there's Bradley Burke. I'm like, where did he come from? And
Yeah.
and the sad part is he could have been probably running there the whole race, and it's like I don't know, for whatever reason he's just like, I don't know if it's his car or him, the way he drives, but it's like he comes out of nowhere and it's like, oh, good to see you running well.
Yeah, 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 he is one of those guys that you kind of don't really realize that he's actually, running good and stuff like that. And I think it shows that we're both, all of us were kind of surprised, like, oh, wow, P9, oh, okay, okay. Like I didn't honestly notice that even when I was doing it and I went back and looked, I was like, Bradley Burke. Oh, that's interesting. So yeah, so there's some. I mean, Timothy Johnston being in the top 16 of power rankings. He's another quiet guy. So there's definitely some people in the top 16 who I think given maybe the set of tracks that really work for them, they could really go up there and rock out some top fives and some top tens consistently. So
I
go ahead.
I'll say the other one that kind of sticks out to me as well is that's kind of like that similar as like Bradley Burke is Thomas George. Like he's sitting P10. It's like I feel like I don't really see him that often, but apparently he's been getting very good finishes and obviously continue doing what he's doing. I mean, it's good to see he's doing well.
Yeah.
Oh, I see Thomas all the time. For some reason, I'm always near him during the race.
Well, I almost ran him over, but I think he actually got caught up in my thing. But maybe I'm wrong. But I mean, for him to still pick up spots and everything like that's still good. So so shout out again to those guys who are putting in the effort and putting in the time and really trying to better themselves. There's nothing better than going out there, trying to make yourself better, trying to make yourself a better driver, and then go out there and then find out that the work that you put in is actually showing up on the results. Or it's you're putting in the work and you've kind of flew under the radar and nobody really realized it till now. So depends on how you look at it, but so props to you guys and like I said, I love doing these power rankings and I love messing with the numbers. To kind of see who's moving up, who's moving back, who to watch out for, who's starting to really start to peak maybe. I'm honestly thinking Kevin King is starting to get a little bit more comfortable. Since this is his first season in RSR, so I think that's. I mean, we already knew coming in that okay, we're gonna have to watch out for him. But I think he's gonna start getting hot. So
I just want to point the two new guys in this series lighting it up.
Yes, you and Kevin King, absolutely sitting 1 and 2. So yeah, I mean that honestly shows you that there is competition outside of RSR. There is good competition from the new guys to come in. There was good competition last year as well when some of the newer guys were coming in. Stanton's team, I can't remember who they were, but there were 2 or 3 guys that came in for him, and they were top 5 here, top 5 there. Like they literally were lighting up the competition. So it's always cool to have new people come into the league and show off. I'm for it. Come in, show off, show us what you can do, and see if we can take you. I don't know if you're gonna get 4 championships, but you never know. You never know. I'll just say that part. So all right, so we are now at the end of the podcast, and as always, we would like to thank. Oh no, we're not. We're not. Goddamn.
I was wanting to mention for next week's race.
It's not next. Well, it's not next week. It's
the
week after.
Yes. For this podcast going up.
Well, yeah.
It'd be a week.
Sorry, folks. I forgot. Yes. So we'll move on to the next segment. Next segment. Which is our next race, which is Nashville. And I guess I'll give you a little back end of it. iRacing also provided a new build for us this past Tuesday, which changed the Cup car a little bit. Well, I would say a little bit, quite a bit actually. So, it doesn't handle anything like it did at Gateway. So, um, myself and Six have been doing quite a bit of practice, um, just to kind of get an understanding of what the car wants and what the car likes. And I think that I think we've kind of figured out what we need to do and how we need to do it. So, I'm feeling good about Nashville. I mean, how do you guys feel?
Uh, well, like you were saying, you and I have done a ton of practice.
Yeah, I think we
I
ran what
think,
300 and something laps so far.
yeah. So I think we've had like over 300 laps for
Yeah,
this practice so far. So we definitely have a ton of laps, but a lot of that's just like you're saying, the new build. And I've mentioned like this build coming up many weeks. Like this was my kind of biggest worry because I feel so comfortable with this car
mm-hmm.
that I was like, okay, is this going to be like the tide change where it's like it's going to change and now I'm going to like start to fall off a little bit? But based off the practice, I mean, it feels pretty good. I There's some things with the car where I'm not a huge fan of. I personally think it's easier to save now than
Mm-hmm.
before.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it could be like that based off the data they got from NASCAR, but I don't know. I kind of feel like they kind of made it easier for people to save, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is one of those cars. It should be hard to save. And currently it still was and still sort of is. But like I said, based off the Nashville testing, it seemed pretty easy to save. Now I don't know if that's just the setup at Nashville,
Yeah.
making it easier to save, or if it actually is the car being easier to save. So I guess we'll see as the weeks go on with it, and if it still has that feel. But it definitely feels different. I don't know about you, but for me, it actually feels like it's in the track more, but at the same time not, if that makes any sense. Like it feels like it's planted, but it has this very edgy feeling to it, like more than before, in my opinion.
Hmm. Um.
But that's
Yeah.
just me.
Yeah. It does feel like it's more on the track. Doesn't feel as on top of the track as it did before. But yeah, I definitely feel more comfortable with it. I feel like I can be a lot more aggressive, but that could also be a bad thing because I felt like well, I guess it depends on how you look at it. I don't want it to feel like the old generation Cup car. Um, because this car has certain habits that you use to drive it. And I've learned these new habits on how to handle it. Now, if it were to start to go back to how the old gen would be, then that's going to create bad habits. So, um, for right now, I think the car feels, I mean, it feels solid. Again, this is only the first track with the new build, so I would honestly need a couple more races to do, um, and more testing on other tracks to really get a consensus on how I feel about it. I think as of right now for Nashville, it feels good, but we might go to a short track and it might feel like complete junk. So we'll
Oh
see.
yeah,
We'll see.
yeah. I say I agree. I mean, I guess if for everyone listening, if they don't know, I mean, obviously the biggest things they changed for us was the roadblocks and the rear diffuser. The roadblocks used to be 1 inch, and then NASCAR changed them to half inch, and then they also removed the left rear roadblock from the car. And I think the rear diffuser got dropped as well. Now you have those updated roadblocks with the updated rear diffuser, and like I said, you definitely notice a difference with it. But like you were just saying, it's with us only testing Nashville. I know we tested a couple other tracks like Charlotte. I think we went back to quickly and ran a few laps. It kind of felt the same, but you could definitely tell there was some differences to it.
Yeah.
But I'm like you. I'm kind of wanting to try like a short track or a flat track. I think our next sort of short track / flat track would be New Hampshire. So I'd be kind of excited to see what is like their handling wise. To see if it's more grippy or if it's still got that very edgy feeling, which for me I like, because like I said, I like, that's the only thing I like about these cars is they're not, you just can't throw it in there and lean on the side force like you used to be able to. You actually have to rely on mechanical grip, and the tires what they give you. But have you done any testing, Nick?
No, I haven't. Just kind of been using this week 13 as a week off, kind of a little bit. So I'll probably get on it this week with the official races, see how it feels.
Okay. Well, definitely let us know. As well. Just
sounds like I'm in for it.
Yeah, because just like you said that you taking your break, I'm taking my break for next week. Going to just sit back, relax, and enjoy Father's Day week. And before I forget, definitely want to give a shout out, because we won't be on next week because that's an off week for us. So definitely want to give a shout out to all the dads out there and the moms who are having to be both the dad and the mom. So happy Father's Day to y'all, since we're not going to see you guys for that weekend. So hope you guys enjoy your days. So that's about it. We've covered a hell of a lot. And there's really not much else to say other than, of course, we want to thank our sponsor, Digital-Motorsports, Elwood Designs, Battle Beaver, and Boosted. Of course, want to thank, as always, Mr. Brandon Six for being my co-host, and newcomer and new guy, I guess you want to say, on the LOASR team, Mr. Nick Silver. Welcome aboard, sir. It was a pleasant.
We'll just call it color commentary.
Color commentary. Okay, I get you on the color. Okay, we could do that. Our color commentary guy, Nick Silver. Nick Silver. Thank you also for joining the team, man. And I know you're going to be a great addition. As I'm already excited to go back and listen to this and edit it, and I feel like this one's going to definitely be a great one. Might have a little backlash toward myself, because I like to keep it real. I like to tell people how I feel, and some people might like it, some people might not. I might get wrecked for what I said, I might not. We'll know. We'll find out, I guess, the next time on next episode I do. I'll let you guys know what happens. But before we go, is there anybody you guys want to thank or anything like that before we get out of here?
I just gotta thank the channel as always, being as my primary sponsor. So, and then of course Elwood Designs as who does the paint jobs for us. So,
yep, got to thank you guys for bringing me on board, the life of a sim racer, and then of course Race Lab for being on the car this year, and Elwood Designs for the sick paint schemes that are out there every week, and especially for this one that we're running this month for Pride Month. Saw it on the film in the background. It's a pretty sweet car for good awareness.
As always, we like to try and bring awareness to all the things that's going on in the world, and kind of help spread the love. Love is love. So, on that note, on behalf of Nick, Six, and myself. Thank you guys for listening. We will catch you guys in the next one. Please stay safe, have fun, enjoy life, and we'll catch you guys later. Peace.